The topic for today is 5 reasons Americans exit the United States and the number 1 clue that it's time to go. So stay with me until the end and you can hear what I think is the number 1 reason why we're seeing this exodus, and actually why leaving is actually a great idea. Let's dive in. Number 1, political divisions. Some people feel disillusioned with the country's political direction and perceive it as moving away from values like inclusivity, tolerance, and democratic norms. The rule of law has eroded and that it will continue to be under attack. I think it has less to do with the party in office and more to do with power dynamics, which I explain in my book, Claim Your Dream Life. There's a link in the comments to that. So number 2 is immigration and human rights. And this isn't really restricted to the United States. Globally, there is anti-immigrant sentiment. People are moving from one area into another area, and the folks that are there are saying, no, we don't want all these people coming here. The bad news is that could make it tricky if you want to leave, because guess what? Other countries may not be as welcoming to Americans as they have historically in the past due to this undercurrent of anti-immigrant sentiment. And I discussed this issue in the video that I'll link to, What's an OPAC? Spoiler alert, it's Overseas Patriot. But many people in the United States are uncomfortable with the future stated plans for addressing immigration and in particular policies that affect minorities. And these are things such as travel bans, detainment practices at the border, and some even fear a return to internment camps like what we saw with Japanese Americans after World War II. Hopefully that doesn't take place, but that is a concern. Number 3, environmental concerns. And the U.S. environmental policy looks to be changing dramatically, which may include, once again, a withdrawal from the Paris Climate Accord, and that's going to roll back environmental protections. What really happens in this area going forward is just a great big question mark. There's a lot of momentum that's already been put forth on the climate side, so we'll see. Number 4, healthcare and economic policy. We'll continue to see changes in healthcare policies and tax reforms, and they've already contributed to a lot of dissatisfaction, especially among people who are concerned about healthcare accessibility and income inequality. Healthcare costs in the United States continue to spiral while really the quality of care is not improving. Something's got to give here. Number 5 is social issues. And these are issues around racial justice, women's rights, and LGBTQ rights. We thought choice, birth control, same-sex marriages were issues that were settled, but now they're at risk. I saw one advisement to same-sex couples, if they have a child, make sure that both partners have adoptive rights, that in the event of a judicial judgment that comes down unexpectedly, there isn't an immediate question about rights. For those already considering a move, these 5 issues really just confirm their decision to leave and look for a country that's better aligned with their values or offering more perceived stability. I believe the most compelling reason to leave is financial, and not necessarily for your financial reasons, in addition to all the other reasons that I've cited, if they matter to you. And in our case, when we left California, we saved $5,000 a year, and this was 15 years ago, almost. Now, not even income taxes or anything, just fees that we were paying, things of that nature that were like, wow, a lot less expensive in Florida than they were in California. In short, the cost of being alive in the United States has skyrocketed. And the worst part is based on the underlying reasons for inflation, which in my view are going to get worse. And Voting for red or blue politicians doesn't really matter when it comes to the financial system. Neither party has any plan to stop deficit spending, which is living beyond your means using credit, slash debit to pay for your daily expenses. As I mentioned, as a consumer, like how long can you do that? Just continuing to fund your daily living expenses on your credit card. At some point that ends. Or reduce the debt levels, which are over 35 trillion and 120% of GDP, which means 20% of the US annual budget is going to service the debt in 2025. Economists have warned that sustained high debt ratios can severely limit economic growth, particularly if interest rates increase and make debt service more expensive. So what can you do? Number one, control what you can and let go of what can't. Remember, you're not a tree. You have no obligation to grow where you are planted. And maybe that means moving out of the United States like we did in 2017, or maybe you move domestically to a region that's more in alignment with your values, which is what we did. But it took us 7 years to move out of California to Florida. 7 years. And the reason, some of them were personal reasons to us that we had to get our ducks in a row before we leave. Renting, trying to decide, does this feel like home? Is this in alignment with who we are? Is this where we want to stay? So I talk about that in the Goldilocks method of finding a place where you want to put down some roots, at least temporarily. And like I said, we're not trees. We don't have to stay. We can try on an area and see if it fits us and then move somewhere else. Number two, I believe in hoping for the best, planning for the best, right? But preparing for the worst. Here's the thing, as a sailor, I can tell you the best time to prepare for a storm is before it hits. If you wait until it gets too bad, it may be too late. You'll dive deeper so that you can make better decisions about your future and what's in alignment with your financial and lifestyle goals. Number three, if you are considering leaving the United States, I highly recommend you grab a copy of my free Ultimate Insider's Guide to Starting Your Overseas Retirement with expert answers to the top 10 most frequent questions I hear about moving overseas, about starting your overseas retirement. There's a link in this description, and I have actually recorded videos for each one of those questions and answers, so you can check out the playlist on the YouTube channel. So that's what I have for you now. I wish you well, dream big, act on it daily, and bye for now.